For years, the Chinese online retail giants Temu and Shein have been flooding the US market with dirt-cheap clothing, trendy accessories, and home goods. But now the US government have been able to hit the pause button thanks to a quiet change in trade policy that addressed a critical import loophole. As a result, it is now reshaping how millions of products enter into the US from China. So what's really happened? Is this the end for China's e-commerce invasion, or is it just a roadblock? Stay with us to find out more. To understand how Temu and Shein grew so fast and why they're now under pressure, we need to look at the loophole that made it all possible, the de minimis rule. This means the maximum value of a shipment that can be imported without paying duties or going through full customs checks. This is the reason why your $25 wireless earbuds or $12 skincare kit from overseas shows up at your door without any surprise duties or taxes. Most countries have a de minimis threshold value, and it has been a key factor that shaped global e-commerce by making online shopping affordable. But here's the kicker. The US has an insanely high threshold of $800. Compare that to countries like Canada or the UK, it's like 1/4 of the US threshold. Well, even the US threshold used to be as low as $200, until it was increased to $800 in 2016 during the last months of Obama administration. When de minimis threshold was increased, the intention was to modernize customs processing, which was overwhelmed by the rising volume of small packages. On the other hand, it aimed to help small businesses that import samples or small batches without surprise fees. It was also seen as a way to align with the growing wave of e-commerce, enhancing affordability for the customers. US was hopeful that other countries would follow them, creating a fair global standard. But that never happened. Instead, the US was left with one of the highest thresholds in the world. Temu and Shein saw the opportunity and jumped in. By shipping millions of small orders directly from China to American shoppers, they avoided import taxes entirely. With $7 phone cases, clothes as cheap as $6, and kitchen gadgets for just $3, anyone could easily order a mini bulk of items as a single shipment, right towards their doorstep without paying a single dollar in duties or import taxes. De minimis was supposed to be a well-intentioned policy, but in the end, it turned into a massive trade loophole. Lawmakers of both Democratic and Republican parties started calling it unfair trade. US retailers couldn't compete with untaxed imports, making the US businesses and jobs to be in danger. Customs officials also warned about unsafe illegal goods slipping through unchecked. And then comes the biggest political reason, the growing fear that China's digital e-commerce would undercut US industries. This means a calculated move was needed to contain China's economic reach. So in 2nd of April 2025, Trump administration decided to shut the door by removing de minimis duty exemption for all shipments coming from China. For Temu and Shein, the removal of the de minimis exemption is more than a policy shift. It's a direct hit to their core business model. These platforms built their success by shipping millions of low-cost items straight from China to US consumers under the de minimis advantage. But now, every package is subjected to import taxes, duties, and customs inspections. That means higher costs, longer delivery times, and thinning price advantage, diminishing what made them so appealing in the first place. According to a Washington Post analysis, prices of female garments in Shein has increased by 43%. In both Temu and Shein, the price hike are reported to be around 35 to 50% on most items. But there are also reports that prices of some items have gone up by even 250 to 300%. As a result of the new policy, Temu lost 58% of its daily US users in May. Suddenly, for Temu and Shein, the Christmas seems to be over. The crackdown on de minimis seemed to be working, especially from a political standpoint. US retailers have long complained that they were losing out to Chinese online platforms exploiting the tax loophole. By removing de minimis threshold, the dominance of Chinese e-commerce retailers has been controlled. So, the American retailers, especially small and mid-sized businesses, should now have a more level playing field. On the other hand, the customs inspections tackled the inflow of illegal goods into US through these platforms. But from a true economic aspect, what are the results? Some reports suggest that US brands such as Bloomingdale's and Old Navy are picking up on their sales through the churning ex-customers of Temu and Shein. However, there's little data so far showing a measurable rebound in domestic manufacturing or retail employment. It is very likely that many consumers bought from Shein and Temu simply as impulse-driven bargain purchases. But when the bargain impulse is gone, they simply stopped buying and did not look for alternatives. On the other hand, even if the prices of Shein and Temu went up significantly, still their prices are comparably cheaper. For now, it's unclear if this policy actually pushed more dollars into local businesses, or if it just disrupted the cheap shopping habits of American consumers. Whether this move truly rebuilds domestic retail, or is it just a political act to look tough? Well, that part is still playing out. Some headlines make it sound like Temu and Shein are finished. Well, the US definitely made their path a lot harder. But these companies are deep-pocketed and already making their workarounds through regional warehouses, third-country routing, and offshore manufacturing in places like Vietnam and Mexico, and testing new logistics. Then, there is another issue. Since all the imported goods are now going to be more expensive as a result of Trump's tariffs, even the prices of local brands are also likely to go up, ultimately reducing the impact it initially made on Shein and Temu. Furthermore, a large part of China's export economy relies on small factories producing low-cost goods for global platforms like Temu and Shein. Therefore, Beijing may also respond with policy support for affected exporters in order to save them. So clearly, this won't be the end of Temu and Shein. The US scored a point in the trade chess game, but the board is far from cleared. This is just one chapter in a larger economic standoff where trade, tech, and politics all collide. The real question isn't about who's going to prevail. It's about how far both sides are willing to go in the next chapter. Please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.